Laurie.
Well, hello everybody and welcome to Motivation Monday. And I am more pumped than ever about this call because we are going to be, we might be a little squirrely, but we're going to be super focused on having you leave here with some tangible things that you can work on, and also really just feeling inspired and really feeling like there is not a way out of your life, but there's a way to press into what's in front of you and make it the best you can. So tonight, I don't even know how to introduce this woman because I want to start with a story. I think it's really important to do that. We have been around each other for many years. I did not really realize that. There's been many places, as in like before 6 years ago, that we were at the same college for a while. We were around the same friends for a long time. And then my first actual interaction with Laurie as a leader, she told me she would help me be better, learn how to read a book a day, and basically build my website in 4 hours if I would cook her dinner. So that's what I did. I literally cooked her dinner, like in a crock pot, brought it to her house, and it was not weird. It sounds hilarious now because now if someone asked me to do that, I would die. I'd probably be like, no, never. But it's a good humbling moment because for me, in context of this business, I just have done lots of things. But right before this, I was a teacher and I was transitioning to being an entrepreneur. Like I was going after it. I had been doing this for 3 months and it was all of a sudden my full-time job. And I'm like, I got to do whatever it is to make me not feel like a stay-at-home mom. There's nothing wrong with that, but I didn't want to be that. I wanted to be running a business. So what I had found is that I needed to like get around other women who were running businesses and working independently. So that was my introduction to really working with / learning from Laurie. And then my favorite other one is when I came to her house in her, this is years later, her Virginia Beach house. And we had been like talking lots about books we were reading, but I don't know what happened to me this night. I'm not sure specifically how it happened, but she gave me 4 books, not one. I was used to one. And I was used to one because then I would exchange with her. It felt like a peer-to-peer. I could be like, oh, I read this. Let's exchange. She's like, you need all of these. And I was like, no, I don't think that I need any of these. I really don't. And I did. And they were awesome. And one of them was Unstoppable by Christine Kane. Yes, all of her books, they kind of sound the same, but that one was important for me to read. So just kind of saying this to y'all because I want you to understand something. Laurie is a starter, a gatherer, a connector, a dear friend, I would say, of a best friend of Rachel Rhodes, who's a diamond on our team. Laurie is a Young Living Gold, but that does not define what she does. I just want to throw that out there for everyone to know that she is a gold on our team. She is, she's probably started, I was counting the other day, and I could be wrong, but I think she started as in movements or companies, at least 8. She is in a consulting role, speaking role, lots of support that she gives, even though she herself should be writing a book and speaking all over the country. Yes, and not helping other people. But she's not going to like that I said that. It's just the truth. She is amazing to be around. Her energy transforms a room. She's definitely a thermostat and not a thermometer. She sets the energy in the room and gathers people together so well and loves them so well. So I love hearing from her. I don't want to give too much of her story. I really want her to introduce introduce herself because I want her to kind of talk through. I've asked her before to do stuff and she's like, meh. And I asked her to do this and she's like, yes, I will do it. I'm super focused. Here's some things I want to share about. So I want to kind of just kick it to you, Laurie, and say thank you. And if you would just share with us, maybe not your whole life to this point, but kind of how you are right now at this place speaking to us, just some of your story.
I'm like, okay, where do I start? So I think I'm just going to start with, just to give you like a really quick rundown of like, I grew up in a home where, went different places. So I didn't spend a lot of time in my home. I'm definitely the product of a community raising a child. I was very fortunate in my childhood that, everywhere I went when I was outside of the home was a great place. And I really learned the beginning of leadership at a very young age. I read Dale Carnegie whenever I was in the 6th grade, How to Win Friends and Influence People, where I was literally like dropped off basically at like one of these like treatment facilities for like runaway kids. And it was the book that was there. And I remember when I read it, like I was at this moment where I was kind of like scared and lonely. I was 11 years old, didn't really know who all the people were around me. And he talked about like being curious and about how like if you're curious about other people, then then you'll always have a friend and you won't ever be lonely. And I honestly believe that that was like a pivotal moment in my life where I was like, my curiosity just piqued even more in me, and I just became even more fascinated with people. And ever since then, I've always had a friend, so it works. So anyway, that was in 6th grade. By 9th grade, I took my very first marketing class, and I absolutely fell in love with marketing. I knew that I loved business. I was that kid who like would go around asking people like, what do you want to be whenever you grow up? And I knew I wanted to be a motivational speaker at a young age, and I said that because I actually knew it was a thing because I'd read Dale Carnegie. Fast forward to where I am now. I believe that I am in a very like stretchy moment in my life, and really the best time of my life, because I've really embraced the power of now, and I've recognized that life is moving fast. And I turned 40, and for some reason that just rocked my world. And I'm like, oh wait, like maybe half my life is behind me. And if I'm ever going to start something, make a difference in this world and become the very best version of me, it better be right now, because it's not slowing down. And we really just don't get do-overs. Like we get to like be in our present, in our now. And so that's really where I am. I've been on this leadership journey ever since, or like, I feel like I'm on this like leadership, what would you even say, like fast track almost, like it's just super intense right now. But when I turned 40, I remember like I was at my birthday party, and I was hadn't even blown out my candles. I didn't even want to go to my birthday party because I'd blown my ACL. So it was like in a knee brace. It's not exactly how I envisioned my 40. And I remember sitting around the table, and I had my girlfriends around the table, and everyone was having a conversation. And I wasn't part of the conversation because it wasn't my tribe. And I knew that the person that I had become up to this point wasn't who I wanted to be. And so it's just a big wake up call for me. I blew out my candles. I made the biggest wish of my entire life that night. Came home, hit my knees, like prayed big time, and literally asked for, which is so crazy, I really like prayed for a female leader in my life that would just take me, like that I would basically just the real deal. Like I wanted somebody who could really inspire me. I wanted to do work that really, really mattered. A week later, I was sitting across from her, and her name is Shanda Sumter, and that's who I now work with. And it's been an absolute blast. So I don't know if that explains everything, but there's a bit of my story. Actually, ask another question.
I feel like your story has a lot more than that, but that was amazing. And that was a good way to connect to where you are, and where you've come from. And I think it's kind of interesting for me, Laurie, to watch how you have been like, I'm not sure what I want to do, but I have all these awesome ideas, to a place where you're like, I love what I'm doing. I love who I am, and I'm doing the ideas. I'm not just having them. So I think that's a huge value. I would love for you to talk about vision in general to us. And I mean, just in general, I laughed because we were on the phone right before this, and she just said something really funny. Showing my books. I'm like, Laurie, do not tell me, because I've been so focused this year on like starting a book and finish. I've finished more books, like physical books and audiobooks, than I've ever finished, because I'm not just being like, oh, I'm reading these 19 books. I've done it. And she laughed and said, no, you need this book, because, all visionaries go back and forth and never finish one thing at once. And I'm like, she's right, is my point. So let's have her talk to us a little bit about vision.
So one of the things I really realized, so I entered into a leadership training right around my 40th birthday that was gifted to me. And one of the things that when I walked into the training room, the very first part that you actually start in this training, and this is like high level executive, intense entrepreneurs, and there were 82 of us in a room, did not know each other. So I remember being in there, and the very first part you start with is vision. And I was like, vision, really? Like, this is where we're going to start? We're going to start with vision. And it was literally, what do you want to create? Why are you here? Why are you here in this world? What are you creating in this world? Like, what do you want? And I remember part of the training was they were going, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And I'm looking at them like, I don't know. Like, I just couldn't really nail it down. And then I really like hit the nail on the head. And I'm like, without vision, like, because everything else is mechanism. So for me, it's like, what's your vision for your life? What do you want to create in your life? What do you want your life to look like? Because we get to be creators of our lives instead of being passengers on a boat. Like, we actually get to drive the boat. And for me, that was just a big moment as to what did I actually want to create? What did I want it to look like? Life wasn't just going to happen to me anymore. I was actually going to go out and create that. So that's where it started for me, was vision. But even taking it further, what I realized in vision, because you go vision, and then you move into a thing called breakthrough. And one of the things I realized, when you have vision for your life and you know what you want, the mechanism appears. And that's how you get to what you want to create in your life. And so for us with Young Living, I believe that the oils is a mechanism to what you want to create. But also what I love about vision is when you tap into the vision of what other people want to create in their lives. And I actually happen to be somebody who's extremely passionate about helping other people uncover their vision. Ashley, I would assume you're the same thing, right?
Yeah, you are really good at it though. You're like, why are you doing that? What do you see?
What do you want? What's your why? And what's so beautiful about vision is when your vision is greater than yourself. Like, I've gotten to a place now, I'm 40 years old. Like, I'm 40 years old. I really want to live a life of impact. I really want to do good in this world. Like, this is about my legacy now. Like, so that means it's actually not about me. It's really about what I want to create through other people. Like, and that's when it's like, that's leadership too. So now my favorite thing to do, my favorite conversation to have with anyone and everyone is, why are you here? What are you creating in the world? What are you so excited about? What do you love to do? And I mean, even my son, I do it with my son too, like all the time. Like, what are you creating?
What does he say?
He's 12. So, but just so you know, I mean, for instance, I actually remember saying, like, I want to travel the world. Like, I want to travel the world. Okay, so before January, I didn't have a passport. I'd only been to one place ever, and that was like 12 years ago, and that was to Jamaica. It's the only place I'd ever been. And it's like, now I've been to Bali, I've been to Australia, and it's only been, like 8 months, 7 months? Hawaii, although that's not really, and I'm like, I fly all over the place now, and I love it. And I used to be scared to death to fly. Part of my vision. It's what I want to create in my life.
Good.
I want to
travel. That concept of working backwards, like seeing something and then working backwards with steps to get there. I love what you said about travel, because that's a lot of people will say, like, the two things I think the people, Young Living especially, say are, they're like, quality time with my family or traveling. Okay. So they'll say those two things, but really your calendar should reflect that now and not later on. Like, it should never. So if you say that you want to travel, and on your calendar in 12 months with a work from home job, you're not going somewhere at least 2 days a month, then you're like, actually not, you're
not creating that. Like, it's what you want to create in your life, and what are you doing to create it?
Yeah.
And also, reality is what's standing in the way. Because that's another thing for me. It's like, which things would prevent me from getting what I want to create in my life? So for instance, I want to travel the world, but I'm scared to death to fly. Guess who was scared to death to fly like 7 months ago, 9 months ago? That would be me. Like, need Xanax, need alcohol, pretty much need meditation. And I'm not a meditative person, don't even know how to do it very well. And like, even the oils, it was like, I need to drink them in order to fly. And it's so crazy that what I started doing was I started speaking over myself, because I knew what my vision was, which is, I want to travel the world. I would say, I can't wait. I'm excited to love to fly. I love to travel. Like, I was so focused on where I was headed that the mechanism to get there, traveling, flying, the thing that kind of scared me, all of a sudden wasn't so scary, because my vision was so much greater than the thing I was so afraid of. But I also didn't speak into the fear anymore. So instead of like feeding that fear of, I'm afraid to fly, oh my gosh, like all the things that you think whenever the plane goes like this, which I totally still feel it. By the way, it totally helps to wiggle in your seat when that happens. That's how you don't feel it as much, just so you know. But now I'm like platinum, almost diamond as in Delta. I was actually upgraded to 1C in first class ever. That's how much I've traveled. I'm not afraid to fly anymore. I'm not afraid. But I like stopped speaking into the fear and started speaking into the possibility. Because we get to fly, we get to travel the world, we get to make friends all over the world. Flying is so much easier than driving, and it's actually safer. So I started speaking into the possibility of what I could create instead of giving into the fear. And I know it's flying, but I remember being in the airport in DC, sitting down on the floor going, because I'd completely forgotten that I actually used to be afraid to fly. And it was so recent. And how many friends I've made, how much my world and my life has expanded because I decided to feed into the possibility instead of feeding into the fear. And now all of a sudden I was living my dream.
I love that. I love that because guys, think about what you're afraid of. Because some of y'all right here, I know it. We all like to judge each other. They're like, man, she was afraid of flying. That's crazy. Okay, well, maybe you're on here and you're afraid to tell your friend about the Instant Pot you love and the elderberry syrup you use and the frankincense you drop on your tongue every night. Maybe your fear is rejection and you're literally learning it.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that I gained in leadership too, I'm totally recovering people pleaser. But one of the things that I said that I value the most in life was authenticity, honesty. Yes. Transparency. Well, if you're a people pleaser, I'm going to tell you right now, you're inauthentic. It's reality. And that was a very, very, very hard feedback for me to hear. And you're also standing in a place where you're a taker, you're not a giver. And that's also really, really, really hard to give. And just so you know, feedback is neutral. We have a lens in which we see and receive feedback, but it's totally neutral. We're the one that attaches an emotional response to it. So for me, it was one of those things where I was like, okay, I'm a people pleaser, which I'm not anymore. I'm a recovering people pleaser, but I stand for authenticity. Well, if I'm authentic and I don't like something, or if I'm authentic and I really do have an opinion about something, I have a truth that I stand on, which means I love the Instapot, which actually I don't even have one, just so you know. So I don't love one. If it requires me cooking anything, I don't love it, just so you know, because I don't cook. What? Oh yeah, my kid actually spends all of our money on DoorDash because mom doesn't feed him. But sorry, we'll go into that another time. What was I saying? Squirrel moment. Squirrel.
It's inauthentic.
Yeah,
to be a people pleaser.
It's dishonest. Like if you want to go to, if you love whatever it is that you love, that's who you are. Like put that into the world. It's why even Instagram now. I mean, the reality is we keep posting all these beautiful pictures of everything and it's a highlight reel. But is it truly authentic? Or are we getting real? And that's the thing. When I turned 40, for me, I remember one key thing that really, really, really stood out to me. I could not dress myself that day. And anyone who knows me knows I have a great wardrobe. I give lots of clothes away all the time. I love clothes. However, I could not dress myself. I didn't even know what to put on that day. I was having a hard time just getting dressed. It's because I lost who I was. I didn't know who I was. I literally sat around a table with women on my 40th birthday, you would have thought would have been my best of friends. And honestly, I knew without a doubt they were not my tribe. And I'm like, how did I get here?
Man.
Inauthentic, people pleasing. That was me.
And super successful at the same time. Let's not say that because that's what I think is fun.
Super successful, yes, kind of. But nothing like I am now. Not even close. I mean, just in the I've doubled my income easily.
And that's this year, in 1 year.
Yeah. Yeah. And not only that, and it's not, the money, yes, it's great. It comes, but I'll be honest with you, I'm doing my most purposeful work right now. And it's because I'm showing up the real me, but it's also because I know what my vision is in my life, but I'm also very, very, very focused on other people and helping them get to theirs. And that's why my work matters so much. And it's super stretchy and scary all the time. But now I don't look at leadership, I don't look at going through life as I'm scared to do it. I do the things I'm afraid of doing, like all the time. Like I do the stuff that makes me super like on the inside where I'm like, I don't really like the way this feels. Well, when I get that nervous feeling, when I get that kind of sick feeling, when I get that, like, I know I'm getting ready to put my head in the sand and avoid it, that's not going to get me closer to my vision. So I'm going to I'm going to press into it. It's almost like it's the Seinfeld, do the opposite. Literally right now, like I'm doing so much in my life right now, I'm doing the opposite of what I've done.
Yes. I hate yoga. I'm saying that because I hate it. It's good for my body. I will force myself to do it. There are months that will go by that I'm like, I'm avoiding yoga. Here's why. I don't enjoy being still. It forces me to be still. Not standing still. I mean, it's a great workout. It's not that. But then when they're like, stretch a little more, I'm like, who wants, like, no one wants to do that. Like, I am stretched. I don't want to stretch a little more. But you know what I remind myself of is the areas of my life I do like to push a little more. Because then this is for me, I just want you to have your own analogy. But for me, if someone said, just run a little faster, I'll run a little faster. So I always think in my head, well, what's a past success that I can use in this moment to breathe life into myself when I don't want to go any further? So I think, like, what's something when I have a hard time with my kids, I'm like, okay, well, when's another time that I had a hard time? And I didn't say with my kids, I say with a person. What did I do? Oh, okay, I showed them love and grace. Okay, so stop yelling at your kids, probably not helpful. Stretch yourself a little more, grow in patience. So with your business, I'm not going to give this example, but think about the areas that are uncomfortable. No one's ever gotten to silver by not having one-on-one meetings with their friends or having classes or posting online. Like, so if you don't like all the things of our business, then you maybe have a lot of discomfort with it. But if it's just one area that you're like, I'm never doing a live video. I love you. Let's do a split screen live. I will pull you up right now. It'll be a fun time. Just say one. I mean, use the Mel Robbins trick, right? Count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right. I need to stop talking so much. Laurie, tell us, what about I asked her for 3 things she was super passionate about to talk about. And so maybe transitioning to the next one, the word commitment, I was like, dang, it's not a very fun word. It's not very sexy sounding.
Word, but it actually is a really amazing word because, again, it's what gets you to your vision. That's why, like, vision is so incredibly powerful. But not only that, it's what are you committed to doing? Who are you committed to being?
Yeah.
Committed to being. Like, I really am, like, like, one of my things is I'm an authentic, powerful, loving leader. I'm committed to being authentic. I'm committed to being a loving person. Leader. I'm committed to being a powerful woman, period. And that is me standing in my truth. That is me not being a people pleaser. You know what I mean? It's like, it's also a way of being that's so important. And it's like the commitment piece is like when you're committed, when you're truly committed, when you know your target, you do what it takes. You know what I mean? Even in those moments where it's super stretchy and uncomfortable and you're rubbing because you're committed. And again, you know what your vision is. And when your vision is bigger than yourself, it makes you even that much more committed. Because when your vision really is all about you, which I'm going to be honest with you, going through leadership, I thought I was super authentic. I also never thought I was arrogant, never thought I was a judgmental person. I would have told anyone that I wasn't. Well, actually, the feedback was that I was arrogant and judgmental. So that's another thing. But I was so committed to the process, because getting through the process, going through the tough stuff, the uncomfortable, because I knew what my vision is and I knew what I wanted to create in the world. And in order to do that, you have to be super, super, super committed. You got to know your target. I can't hear you.
I mean, that's why some of us like cloth diaper, or some of us might, you can't hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll say just an example of something that kind of sucks, right? But at the end of the day, you're like, I am not going to put toxins on my baby. Or maybe why some of us, I think about some of y'all that do 100 handwritten notes a month. That's great. I've tried it for 1 month. It was super awesome for all the people that got them, super painful for me, but I wasn't committed long term. It was something that I was like, oh, I'm going to try this because people say it works. I'm going to try this over here. So what happens for a lot of us, I think when we attach it to vision, then like you will be committed to the process of maybe it for you, it is that you are terrified of pictures of yourself. And you're like, I'm so committed to showing up with my family, with my friends. I will love myself enough to jump in front of the camera. I, in this business, will love myself enough to realize that my story matters. So I'm going to post my story and post a story every day online and do it every day. And you don't say for 30 days or 10 days. You're like every day. How long? Every single day, always, over and over and over. So Laurie, what are some things that some actual practices that you're committed to doing? It doesn't have to be every day, just practices that you're committing to doing.
Oh, no. So I'm really, am I? No.
Yeah.
Well, and one thing I am really, really, really focused on and committed to doing is I'm committed, and y'all are going to laugh at me, this is me just being totally honest and transparent. I have a funny reaction to, I was telling Ashley this earlier, like mail that comes in like a bill that comes in an envelope into my house. Like if it comes into my inbox, it's automatically taken out of my account. I'm like not like scared of it. But for some reason, if it shows at my house, there's like, to me, it's like filled with sharks and they're going to eat me or something. I'm scared of it. But I'm so committed now to touching it one time and dealing with it and opening it because I want to stand in completion. Like I don't want to carry baggage. So that's a commitment of mine. And it's something too that I noticed. I was telling Ashley this earlier. Like I really take note of the things that wake me up at 3 o'clock in the morning, or the things that like when you wake up and you're restless. I write down what it is. And then I'm really committed to working through those things and those behaviors. And I noticed a common theme was that I was avoiding certain things in my life, which happened to be, it wasn't because I couldn't financially handle it. It was just, I just had this weird reaction that something bad would come out of that envelope when I opened it. So I was an avoider. So I would put it off to the side. Now I'm super committed to opening it and dealing with it like right then. And it's amazing because then it's like I get to pat myself on the back and be like, that's an accomplishment. I'm also committed to having tough conversations. I'm committed to call like the conversations of things I don't want to do in the day that I feel resistance to, almost like I'm avoiding because I no longer want to be an avoider. I no longer want to be a procrastinator because I'm not. I'm a woman who stands in completion. I'm a woman who is effective. And an effective leader doesn't procrastinate. And an effective leader also has healthy, good, solid relationships. So what do? I make those phone calls first in my day. Those things that give me that like angst, I go after those first in the day. Because then it's like a weight off of me. And I also get to pat myself on the back because I'm committed to that. And I know that's what leaders do. I was telling Ashley, one of my favorite books right now, I love it. And I think everyone should read it. And it's all about, it's amateur versus pro. It's super easy. It's like lists. It literally is lists. And you get to see where you're a pro in your life and you get to see where you're an amateur in your life. And I promise you, we bounce back and forth. But it's actually really good, really easy. Those are some things I'm committed to.
What are some areas, Laurie, that you're working on becoming a pro in?
Completion, being a woman of completion.
I
want to complete what I start. And I also want to be committed to my word. So if I say, Ashley, I'm going to show up on this call, like I'm going to show up. You know what I mean? Like before I would kind of halfway make commitments, but now I'm like, it's so important to me that I be a woman of my word, that people know that they can count on me. And it's so important to me that I finish what I start, that I stand in completion, because I always played story in my head. Oh, I'm ADD. Oh, I'm a visionary. Oh, squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. No, that's me giving myself excuses, because that's not what a leader does, period. Like I still say squirrel, 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 but I also get to deal with the fact that I have a circus going on around me, but I am the circus master. So I get to tell them what they get to do. And I also get to enroll people around me who can make my life easier and better in areas in which I'm just not great.
Talk to us about that. Talk to us about that from maybe from a business standpoint, and then from finding a tribe relation, like talk, like just all of
Yeah.
that.
So honestly, what I found is that as you level up in your leadership, your tribe changes. My tribe has completely changed. Love my friends from before Laurie went to leadership. But my people who are in my life right now are A players. They're going after something and they're in the world to create something bigger than themselves. And that's who I'm surrounding myself with. And they are holding me so incredibly accountable because I always go back to it. It's the Croods movie, and they say it'll set you free. No more cave dwelling. And so I always, these women that I'm around, I'm committed to living my life in the light with them. That means they get to see the things in the cave. Which part of it is just like, I mean, it's little things. It's like my diet. You know, I don't, from if I were my position and where I'm in leadership on the outside professionally looks one way. But if you come in and see what I put into my body and my health, it's another thing. So who do I have in my tribe? My people are super uber healthy. You know, I have one woman, Jen. She is like a machine. This woman like has like almost uniforms with like, she doesn't even think about her clothing. Like everything's a process. Like everything's in its place. What is she doing? She's dialing in my life, which is why a lot of you are getting to reap the rewards of my my wardrobe getting smaller. But like she's in my life. Like I literally opened her into my house and I said, I want to be an authentic woman. And to be authentic means that inside my home also gets to match the kind of leader I want to be out in the world. I want to be exactly the same. I want to show up that way. So the people in my tribe right now, they are holding me accountable and they happen to be really, really good in those areas. And then I just happen to be really good in these other areas and I get to rub off on them too. But you want to talk about like, we have some intense, hard conversations and they're holding me accountable. I mean, I feel like in a way I'm in a bit of a boot camp, but I'm like, I want to surround myself with people who are going to give me honest feedback because feedback's true love. Like that's the real deal. I want to surround myself with people who want to go do something in the world, but don't just want to go do it. They are out there doing something big in the world. And I want to surround myself with people that aren't going to stand for my excuses. And I kid you not, there isn't anyone who's in my tribe right now that settles for any of my excuses. And we all hold each other. Oh yeah, my girl Chantel. Anybody know Chantel Ray? Y'all know Chantel Ray? Really? Oh, she's one of my people. She's in my tribe, like tribe member here. That girl right there has got a freaking checklist for everything. Everything. Person comes to her house, like literally it's like you sharpen my eye pencils. I'm like, bring those checklists up into my house. Not for me, but I'm gonna get some people to come in here and help me do these things. Like she's just systematized. Like, and she's like, Laurie, she goes, I'm like creating in the world. I'm going out. I'm doing all these things, but these other areas that hold me back, that slow me down, she's like, I outsource it. I get people to help me with that. It's the checklists are ridiculous. They're amazing.
So in your own life, everybody listening, I want you to think about how that could work for you. It's funny having these conversations a lot of times because people are like, Ashley, you're kind of a mess. And I'm like, no, but I want you to think about it. If you're trying to squeeze hours in your day, bend your time to work this business. What you can't do is like stop taking care of everything in your house and your kids. Like maybe it works for you, but for most people long term, that creates chaos and confusion. What you can do is take out the hours of your day that you spend sipping tea and watching Netflix, or that you spend tasting 18 wines from around the world with a group of people you don't like every third Friday. Like whatever the things are that you're like, is this the best version of me? Does this serve the person I want to become? Take out the time where you're like, maybe you right now go to a play date 4 days a week with your kids. I'm sure that's an awesome thing, but really you have that. No, your kids would be just fine with you reading a book on the floor with them and then working your business for an hour while they play independently or whatever it looks like. If you're someone and you take bathroom breaks and lunch breaks at work, right? I mean, how many people like don't like their job and they're like, yes, I will take my lunch hour. Work. pack a little wrap or something, eat it, pack a protein bar. I don't care. Eat nothing, whatever works for you, but work for an hour. That 1 hour will compound, guys. In a month, that hour will be like 24 days, 25 days. That is insane if you think about it that way. So just think about the small things you can change. So even if you're not thinking about who can sharpen your eyebrow pencils right now, I don't even own an eyebrow pencil.
That was kind of ridiculous anyway. I don't even I just thought it was so funny because I'm like, really? Because I was just thinking somebody could like buy my toilet paper or like help you with that because I always forget that. And my kids like, I mean, it's literally that for me. But that was a bad example. No, but it was just funny that she had her eye pencils in there. And here's what I would say too. Like, I think of like, you know, when I think of Young Living and I think of the oils, like, and I think about like leaders and in leadership, like when you have conversations, like Ashley, I know we talked about this at our last event, like that we were at, like the oils, that's your mechanism. That's what you get to, that's the way you're getting to what you want to create into the world. And what's so great about oils is that it actually, I call it like hope in a bottle. You know what I mean? Like those are the conversations you get to have with people when you will become a master enroller when you not only tap into your own vision, but when you have the ability to empower and tap into the visions of other people. That's when you will enroll in what you are putting out into the world as well, when you tap into theirs. It starts with generosity. And that generosity, believe it or not, is showing up fully present, engaged for somebody else. Not showing up with an agenda to sell oils. Like it's truly, I mean, actually. But it's like it's really showing up, being present, getting in conversations with people, and being super real. And tapping into the vision of what they want in their lives.
How does that look? Why don't you model it? Why don't you show us how that looks? Because I know some people on here are like, what is she saying? So practically speaking, so for me, I understand how it looks. It makes sense to me. But I know some of y'all on here that are newer, especially, you're like, okay, so I'm tapping into people's vision for the world, and then I'm selling them a kit. Like they're like, there's a dig, they're.
Yeah, but it's connection, it's conversation. Like it's so easy for us to get caught up in a list of doing of all these things. Like I got to post 10 things on Instagram. They got to look like, I got to have like 30 beautiful pictures and I'm going to beat this algorithm and I got to do it like this. And I'm going to go comment on these 15, 20 posts. And I'm like, no, like, you know what, guys, go to Yara Golden and tap into her story selling about emails and conversations you can have to show up really real to people and get into story selling, story influence, how the oils are making a difference in your life. And then tap into the vision of other people, how the oils are making a difference in their life. Find out what problems they have going on in their lives, in their homes. Oils are the answer to everything. We know that, obviously. So what I mean by that is when you show up in converse present with them without an agenda, they're going to share with you what they want to achieve, what they want to overcome, the things that are going on in their home with their children, or maybe they have problems with allergies or whatever it is. And that opens the door to have those conversations. And I'm telling this woman, you should check her out. She has Subscriber Reviver. I can't wait. She's going to be speaking at the Zone event. I'm like thrilled about it. I love this woman. She was going through a divorce, and she literally like hit rock bottom, did not have $1 to her name, and she completely reinvented herself. And you know how she did it? She got real, and she started sharing her story with the world about where she was and why she was where she was and what her journey was. And then she helped other people do the very same thing. And it's amazing what she's gone off and created now. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I went to her website. I've read StoryBrand and done lots of listening to Dawn Miller, but I've never even heard of her. Here we go.
Yeah, she's really big about like reviving your inbox, where like you really get real. So it's like, I don't know if you're building an email list. If you're not, you should be. There's still a lot of power and benefit to having an email list. but also she does long form Instagram posts in a way, but they're not so like, they're real. You know what I mean? Like the real stuff where people actually get in and really respond. They're not scripts. It's coming from you. Super powerful. Like you should go in and just read her stuff and it's like, oh, she did. It's amazing. And she taps into other people's visions, of course.
Awesome. What about, now you mentioned her and you mentioned amateur versus pro. Tell us what resources for any level. I want you to understand something. Leading, when we say levels of leadership, it has nothing to do with position.
Yeah.
It's levels of where you are yourself. So you could be, go ahead.
What were you saying? You kind of broke up.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, so you could be a distributor and an amazing leader. You could be a diamond and have the worst leadership skills ever. So it's nothing to do with your position as in this business. But where you are, just speaking to all kind of levels of leadership, so what I would say, Laurie, what are some resources you would recommend that are not going to be overwhelming? Like so maybe a couple podcasts, maybe a book or two, but not 10 books at once.
Well, still one of my favorites is Amateur versus Pro.
Okay.
I really am a big Donald Miller fan. Is it Start With Why by Sinek?
Yep.
Sinek, is that right?
I'm in Sinek. Yep.
Yeah. That's another really like powerful one. I'm trying to think what else. Like, I mean, obviously, Any and Everything, Brene Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Go Giver. My gosh, Go Giver is freaking fantastic.
What about podcasts? What do you listen to, or do you listen to them?
So it's interesting. I go back and forth with podcasts. Ed Millett. He's one that I'm really listening to right now. I mean, I listen to a lot of like pastoral ones.
Me too. Yeah.
Like, I kind of do that. I haven't been listening to podcasts, but that's also so. Like, I just finished David Goggins' Relentless.
Listen.
As insane, by the way. But I just did that Audible. Really, really, really good.
Yeah.
If you're a cleaner or sweeper or closer, and where you are in your life. I wouldn't necessarily say start with that one, though. It's very intense.
I think a lot of y'all, you can also look at some of these leaders and listen. If you like to listen and not read, I would tell you, you can listen. Like, I think Story Brand's great, but maybe you're not committed to that book. Even on Audible, still 9 hours. It's very, very long. You can just Google him or Google that title and read little snippets. Read where he's been featured on other people's podcasts. So for me, with finding things that inspire me, I am okay if they are exploring a skill that I do not yet know about. So you have to know yourself well. Go take the Enneagram. I know you. What do you actually wait? Laurie, what do you recommend people take?
I don't really know right now. I forgot. I took the DISC test. I'm all D with a little bit of I. No C. Like 2% C.
So for those colors, that's like she's red and then maybe a little blue. So that's what's interesting is knowing yourself well is the key to getting authentic and actually creating that vision. So I would love if everyone would just do a simple, write down 3 strengths, like 3 things that are awesome about you. If you are brave enough to write them in that section, I know a lot of you will be watching the replay, you can just write it in the comments. Like knowing some things you're good at will really help you feel confident when you go and meet with your friend for coffee and you want to tell her about oils and you are thinking the whole time, if in your head, the story you're telling yourself and the way you speak to yourself is that you're stupid, you always have crazy ideas, no one's going to believe it, you don't even know if the oils work anyway. Like if that's how you're talking to yourself, then having some strengths that say, I'm really good at communication. I am trustworthy. I mean, even if they're very basic, you will at least be able to look at them.
You know, one of the
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. So one of the things I would recommend actually, because I think it's important to start from the beginning, and I actually really love it. It's Discover Your Unique Ability. Dan Sullivan. It's so good. And the reason why it is one of the things you actually do is you send out a letter, you send out a quick email, and you ask people, how do you see me? And what would you say how have I contributed in your life? How do you, like, how am I as a leader? And I kid you not, what ends up happening is those become kind of your mantras. They become your iRock file. And when you start your day reading those things over yourself, it is so empowering, the kind of day you go out and get to have and you can create. And I sometimes forget that they're there to go back and look at those, but it's so good. And then it's also really good because it really helps you identify areas like where you are in life, like in terms of like your business, like where things just don't come as easy. So you really can see how you can delegate those things and how you can really do this the way that works best for you.
Yep.
So I really like it. It's like $40, but it is super awesome. Like, worth it.
What's your favorite oil?
Peppermint.
What do you do with it?
I use peppermint all the time. I put it on my temples. I breathe it all the time. I don't know why. It's always one of my favorite. Trying to think, my other favorite one is White Angelica. I always use that one. I love that one. And then frankincense is a daily one.
What do you do with it? On your face, under your tongue?
Everything goes on the bottom of my feet, my temples, and my wrists. Yeah, I mean, no, nothing's going under my tongue. Nothing goes under my tongue. But those are my favorite oils.
And Laurie, I know that you have a question because you told me not to ask you, but this is why I think it's so empowering for other people to hear this. What does your daily routine look like? You told me not to ask you, but I am.
Yeah, well, I'm actually going to post my daily routine because I'm working into this daily routine because the daily routine routine or like my morning routine, because my morning routine is ridiculous. You want my full daily routine? You don't want that.
No. How about your morning routine? Are you actually doing it? Because I can tell you, I always tell people that there's some stuff I do 3 to 4 days a week and they're usually in a row and then they don't happen for a few days. I have a lot of things that I do most of the days. So I always love hearing from other people.
Okay, so my morning routine, I wake up, I make my bed, extremely like motivational. So there's this little girl, YouTube girl, who will get in front of the mirror and she'll be like, I love my, and she just goes on and on and on. I will totally pull that out. I will do that. Or I'll listen to some Tony Robbins because I'm really big into Tony Robbins, some of his like motivational, like mental stuff because it's super good. It's just, and I'll like start speaking it over myself. I brush my teeth with my left hand. I drink, so it's by my bed now. And I'm working the other things like into my routine because they're getting longer and longer and longer. Just because it's like you want to like perfect that as much as possible. I do find, because I do work West Coast, East Coast, so, and I'm usually like up ready to like start working around 4:30 in the morning. I do find myself like I do so much better with my morning routine when I really get to it before I like do anything on my phone at all. So I no longer go on my phone to Instagram, Facebook, any of that. Like my day doesn't start in a reactionary mode. Like my day starts and I stay in that, and I really commit to stay in that for at least 30 minutes in my morning. And I have a checklist for my morning routine I'm working into. However, you'd be shocked at how powerful like just brushing your teeth with your left hand is. Totally. Do your opposite hand.
I don't know if I want to, but I'm going to try.
No, you do. It's really good. It like stimulates your mind. It's like, it's good for you. And I usually like listen to like, I have from worship songs to She's on Fire to all kinds of crazy music. I'll have dance parties in the morning. Or I'm going to like look at myself in the mirror and scream lots of crazy things about how amazing I am to get myself in the mood. It depends on my kids here though or not, because he'll think I'm crazy. That's it. I can post my list. You'll laugh.
Yeah,
because I'm still learning it. It's all by Jen Williamson, my girlfriend, who has a super intense morning routine.
Awesome. Laurie, we love
And
it.
you probably want to know what oils I put on in the morning too, don't you?
I mean, it'd be nice.
So my oils would be Progessence Plus is my everyday oil. Endoflex is my other one that I always put on every single morning. And then White Angelica.
Do you keep them by your bed in your bathroom somewhere?
They're right next to my bed.
Okay, and then I was going to ask you something that was important. Oh, do you go to bed at the same time every night? Yeah, I don't either. I always like that. I think it's.
I know I should. I'm getting really into like drinking like this like sleep tea, like calm tea, like magnesium, getting magnesium into my body to get me to go to sleep. Because I have to admit, like I'm so stimulated by my life right now and the work that I'm doing, and that like I have a hard time going to sleep.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm just like I'm full on. Even though I'm full on, I'll be full on. I go to sleep and then I'm like full on come like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning again, ready to take off. And it's just I'm super inspired right now. Like just I'm super inspired.
Well, I want to honor your time. I feel like I did not mean to have you talk to us for an hour. I appreciate it. But I also want to make sure I'm not missing anything. And I'm going to let Rachel close us because I realized that like y'all have been super close friends for 20 years. I'm dominating the conversation. I don't mean to. I would love it if anybody has a question, if you want to ask. I think that you might step up and be brave and make a comment if you don't want to do it live. And if not, I would love to have Rachel just kind of pop on here and wrap us up, or ask Laurie a question because she might have something that she really wants Laurie to share that I missed.
Hey, okay, I'm handing my child off that just woke up. No, I've actually loved like listening. Thank you for letting me do that. It's nice to take Laurie in, and as someone that's been her friend through a lot of stuff, it's very refreshing and just like incredible. Literally, guys, like what you're seeing with her, and like this is I don't want to say she was like born this way. Like she has made decisions, and like she said, she's making commitments and she's casted vision. Like these are things that she's like worked on and worked through and put into motion herself, which means that anybody else can do it. And that's one of the reasons why I love this Zoom is because she's literally like the page for her. Like she's what it looks like for me. This is what I did, and this is what you can do. So I love taking it all. I'm so inspired by you, Laurie. One of the things that we talked a lot about and is like, and I know you mentioned it, like the people that you're surrounded by. When you're leading and you're trying to cast vision, what does that look like? You still have like your tribe of people that are like, these are your core, but then you have people, whether it's hundreds of thousands, whatever, 5, 10 people, whether you're leading your family and maybe they're not where those core people are, like what does that look like for you to turn around and help? Are you helping people along, or are you just being the example and praying that they look at you as the example and catch on to your coattails? Because that's something like I love. I feed off of like all of this, but I also am like I have to. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Laurie?
I find that when you are, what I realized whenever I was going through my leadership, and then even like just the awakening that I had on my birthday was just that I was very much, I think, more of a taker. And when now in my life, like I'm in such an overflow state that like, I mean, I'm showing up, and I kid you not, guys, like, here's the thing. We have an opportunity to be world changers and make a difference in people's lives by the way that we go and order coffee. It's every person that steps into our space. We have an opportunity to be present and show up. I see you. And so I do that, and I'm so much more present and engaged. when I'm not so caught up in my phone, when I'm intentional. And I'm more intentional now than I've ever been. And that's because I'm overflowing. Like I'm in an overflow state. Now, when I have free time, like my free time, which is actually pretty limited because I'm become much more regimented with my schedule and what I'm doing. But when I have time, like where I go out with friends, got to be honest with you, I'm choosing to be around the people that level me up. Like I'm choosing that. And I'm choosing that almost every time because that's what I'm working towards. But when I'm going through my life and I'm working on my computer at a coffee shop, or I'm never too busy anymore to look up and see somebody and have a conversation, and I don't get into story, So I would say it's a little bit of both. And it's just, again, it's all about intentionality, and it's all about being present. Because we're so distracted.
Yeah, I think that's good because at the beginning, or you've been doing this a while, there's sometimes people that aren't as enthusiastic or maybe not, whether it's business or whether it's in relationship and friendship. And so I think that, like you said, having that good balance of being around people that really inspire you, listening, reading, but then also, like you said, being here for it as well for people on your team that are also in your day-to-day. So
I also think leading a team's a little bit different. So I know I gave an example of how we can make a difference in seeing people in our day-to-day, like we order coffee or the people that we're around. But I think about my team right now. I'm leading a team, and leadership is all about every decision. It's all about tapping into what's their vision, what's their motivation. And so here's the thing, even with my team, I know what their motivation is, and grace in some ways and language. What you learn in leadership, how to flex skills, how to style flex. And I'm really learning. I think what happens is I'm not standing for their story or their excuses. I don't do it because I know what they're creating in their life. I know what they're committed to creating. So I want to be a force with them, to stand with them to create that. I don't want to be an enabler. And I'm not a leader who enables people anymore. I don't. I used to be, but I'm not that way anymore.
That's good. That's exactly everything you just said. That's good. That's so good.
And you Laurie. Can put it in a place that's out of love.
Yeah.
Not out of judgment, not out of arrogance, not out of I'm better than you at all. But more of, hey, if you're creating this and this is what you're going for, then you're in story right now. Can we start speaking possibility? This is what that looks like. I'm going to speak possibility and life over you right now. And here are the 3 things you can do to get you back on your way to creating this. Because you can choose right now in your life to no longer be a procrastinator. You can choose to love opening your mail right now and not stay in story and give yourself excuses. You can choose to get out from behind your computer and go out and shake some people's hands and make friends at a coffee shop and talk with people and put your oils on your table.
Did she freeze or stop? Get oils on her. Oh no, she froze. All right.